Hey, what's up studs? Ryan here, or MandRproductions, with my comparison of two highly controversial representations of the duel on Mustafar between Anakin and Obi-Wan. On the left here we have the 2005 version set 7257, and on the right we have set 75269 from 2020. Both of these sets obviously based off the same scene from Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, yet they look drastically different. So we'll be comparing these two sets today in one of my LEGO Star Wars comparison videos. So I'm very excited to delve into the similarities and differences between these two sets that are set 15 years apart, again from 2005 and 2020 respectively. So let's get started with some general information on each set. On the left here, again, set 7257 from 2005 includes two minifigures, and at the time of release costs $30, which translated into 2020 money is about $40 now in the US, and it included 282 pieces. And over here we have set 75259 from 2020, released for $20 in the US, so basically looking at half the price of the old one adjusted for inflation. It includes 208 pieces and two minifigs, once again Anakin and Obi-Wan, just like the original version from 2005, and the official name of this set is the Duel on Mustafar. So you can kind of see they've done a couple of different names for this particular scene, which I find interesting. Anyway, with all that general information out of the way so that we're all on the same page and we all know everything we basically need to know about these sets, the way this comparison is going to work is with the way I do all my comparison videos now for LEGO Star Wars. We're going to take a look at the minifigures, playability, design, value, and then finally my own opinion on these two sets. We'll tally that all up, and at the end we'll be given a final score, and I'll be able to decide which set is objectively better. Of course, you can always have your opinion as to which set is better, and you can vote on the poll on the top right of the screen. And if you have anything specific you want to say about either set, you can always leave it down in the comments section below. Starting off with the minifigure category, like I said earlier, you get both an Anakin and Obi-Wan minifigure in each set, so there is no surprise there. We'll take a look at the Anakins first. We'll pluck those Obi-Wans out of the way, and you can see there are actually quite a few changes between the two iterations of this figure. So from the top down, we have a brand new hairpiece on the newer Anakin. That shouldn't come as any big surprise to most people that have been following LEGO Star Wars for the last 15 years, but Anakin no longer uses that same old boring hairpiece that they used to use, which I don't really love. And also, in addition to having a new hairpiece, what LEGO's been doing for the last 5 or so years is including double faces. So you can see you get actually two different faces for your Anakin Skywalker, one of which, this one here on the front that I have, I think beautifully represents the way Anakin looks in this scene. So I think that the newer Anakin faces and hairpiece much better represent the character. You'll also see a small line on the top of the older Anakin's head, and that's just where it just cuts off there. There just is like a thing there, the way that the battery made figure is made for the light up lightsaber. That's just the way it is. So it's kind of an odd look. Now he does have some nice scarring on this figure, so that's kind of decent, but other than that, not that exciting. The torso print for the older Anakin is decent, but the newer one has a lot more of a tattered up look, which I really appreciate, and you actually get back printing on the new one versus the old one that just has kind of a blank slate there, and that's because that's where the battery pack goes in there, and you can see that it's actually just blank, and you can kind of see the outline of the battery thing, which you can actually take out to replace the battery, which is a bit tough to do, but it is doable. I just have never been able to do it. And speaking of the battery, my light up lightsaber on both the Anakin and Obi-Wan have pretty much gone. You can see it light up a little bit when I press the button, but it's pretty much gone as far as I'm concerned. You can't tell under normal lighting conditions, which is really unfortunate at this point, and probably one of the main reasons they did away with light up lightsabers. You also can't pose the hand. Like, the way the lightsaber is on the older Anakin is the way it always has been and always will be. You can't turn his hand at all, which is rather unfortunate. You also get a cape on these light up figure characters, which is kind of annoying given that they didn't really have capes in the scene, and it just kind of gets in the way at this point. And then down to the legs, of course, the newer Anakin with leg printing. The older one did not have leg or waist printing, so that's something where the newer character really shines over the older one. It's much of the same story with Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have a newer and much nicer hairpiece on our newer model. We also have a much nicer face print. You can just see how much more detailed they are nowadays versus what they were back in 2005. And then you'll also get two faces on the newer minifigure, which is nice. Gives you some change if you want change. on your minifigures, just depending on how you're feeling. And then also the torso print, again, it was nice in 2005, but they've given it a much more tattered up look now in 2020, so that's very nice. Flip it around back, you also have a back print on this Obi-Wan figure versus the older one, which should not have a back print, and much like the Anakin, just has the blank spot where the battery goes into the torso of the minifigure there. And there is no leg printing on this Obi-Wan Kenobi, just tan, or like this orangish tan color legs, versus the newer Obi-Wan Kenobi, which does have a very beautiful leg print and waist print there that, again, the newer one is just missing. Same story with the lightsaber. It just will always be that way. It's at this weird angle. It's a bit larger and bulkier than you would want, so the regular LEGO lightsaber just seems to be nicer. They've also kind of done away with the bubbles in the lightsaber blades. You can see the older one has a bubble, the newer one does not, so that's kind of a nice thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe you do like the classic bubbles in your lightsaber blades. Not really sure what most people would prefer. Anyway, these two figures, to me, I think it's pretty obvious that the Anakin and Obi-Wan from 2020 are much better than what we got in 2005. LEGO has just made a lot of improvements to their minifigures since the early days of LEGO Star Wars, and these are definitely no exception. The Anakin is just so nice in this set. I really love the facial expressions of the newer characters as well. A lot of the older characters for LEGO just weren't able to convey that like they are now. As nice as the light up gimmick is, and that's what it is, it's a gimmick, and over time, as I've shown, the battery goes out, and that's unfortunate because it's not very easy or intuitive to replace the battery. So I think the 2020 minifigures are hands down better than what we got in 2005. So the play features on the 2005 version are as follows. The first and potentially most obvious to a lot of people are these little arms, and what you can do with these, and I will say they're not that great, but what you can do with them is you can actually place a minifigure on each. So you can take Anakin and Obi-Wan and place them on either of the arms, and like I said, they're not that great. They're very finicky, and you'll see how bad they are here in just a moment. I find the whole set to be quite annoying in some facets because as you try to do things, you knock things down constantly. I knocked a fire piece off, and I knocked this down just trying to set the minifigs up. So that is definitely a ding against it being like an easily playable set. But now you have these arms, you think you're going to be able to easily recreate this awesome duel and have fun. No. Look at that. He's already fallen down. I didn't even do anything, but there goes Anakin. Like, I literally don't understand these things. These might be the worst feature on a LEGO Star Wars set ever. I just can't imagine anything that's been as bad and annoying as this has been on this set. So if you get them onto like their rails, essentially, it kind of works, right? You can see I can kind of get them to run along these, but like, I just can't imagine this being any bit of a fun playing experience when every time you try to move them, they just kind of fall over and they stumble about, and like, it's just not fun, all right? Like, I'm going to be honest, I have never been able to figure this one out. I don't know if maybe mine are faulty, but like, this is how they always end up, and I just cannot like figure out why I can't like finagle it enough. The concept behind it is really good though. You're supposed to basically like get it on here, and then you can actually have like the minifigs turn like this, but then sometimes it gets stuck. I don't know, man. Like, it's supposed to work better than it does. A pretty cool play feature this set does have, though, is some lava rocks that can kind of fall on your characters. So if you guys remember in episode 3, and this feature is also on the newer set, the lava is just kind of falling around them. And you can kind of recreate that. You have like this red button. If you push it, these will eventually fall over like this, and bam, all your lava can fall down and onto the characters. Again, this is one of those finicky things. It doesn't really lock into place, so you'll often accidentally set this off while moving the set, or even just looking at it might set it off. One other quick feature is this hovering thing. I think it was their attempt at one of the Mustafar mining droids, but it doesn't really come off that well. Like, this doesn't look like anything they actually use in the movie, but here you have it. You can have them hover around, I guess. Other than that, the only other feature is these giant beams can actually be knocked down like that. You can even kill Obi-Wan with it. We've killed Obi-Wan twice in this review now, so rest in peace, Obi-Wan. But like, that's pretty much it for playability on this set. There just isn't a lot, and anything that is on this set is very finicky. It doesn't seem to work that great, and like, I just don't know how to explain it. I just do not love the play features of this set. I just honestly don't think they're very good. As much as I like this set from like a nostalgia perspective, I never really played with it as a kid. I got this set when I was older, so maybe if I had played with it when I was, you know, 8 9, 10 years old, I would have much more enjoyed it. But at this point, I just cannot look at it that way, and I really do not enjoy it for its play features. As far as play features on the newer model go, I think you're getting a little bit more involved with a lot of things. You can have Anakin stand on one of the mining droids and Obi-Wan stand on the platform here with their lightsabers, and I just think it's a little bit of an easier play experience. You can also curve this inward like this and reclip it here, and then you can have them literally side by side fighting like this Anakin there with the slightly higher ground. That being said, there is no real high ground scene you can recreate with either set, so no set is getting any like automatic win on that fact. Unfortunately, if this set had it, it would automatically win. I mean, there's a little bit of ground here, but like that's not, you know, what it's supposed to be, right? So that's unfortunate, but I think it's a little bit easier with the way the rails work on this set and the little handles you have on the back of each of them to be able to use that. Now, you might have noticed I just automatically or accidentally used one of the other play features, and that is another lava shooting mechanism. Just like on the other set, it does seem to go off on accident a lot. I tend to pick up the set and touch this, and it always like shoots off one of the studs, but just like the other set, you can have lava shoot up and onto your characters like that, so that's kind of another neat little feature that they were able to include. Again, it's very similar to what you got on the set from 2005, but also still in a slightly different way. And then finally, you have the big beam here, which you can kind of move around and play around with. I mean, I don't really see a huge use for this, but maybe someone somewhere will get some sort of use out of it. Again, it's not my favorite part of the set. It's not really a play feature. Like, I don't know what you're going to do with that, but hey, I mean, there's something someone somewhere can probably get out of this, and that's good for them. But those are the main play features on this set. It doesn't do anything spectacular, but I think it does everything well enough. And considering the other set really failed on a lot of basic levels, I think the 2020 version is going to take the point for playability if that's what you're looking for. The design category is very interesting and certainly subjective for these two sets. On the left here from 2005, you have a much larger base. Like, it's a very, very large set, at least its footprint compared to what you get in 2020. I mean, there is definitely a substantial difference also in the design philosophy. This set seems to be more based off of something that you would see kind of hanging off the edge in Star Wars Episode 3. So I think of this as like the ground here, and then you kind of have this that would kind of hang out into the air, which is kind of just the way I think most people would look at this. So it would be something like this is how it would actually look like in Episode 3. And I think that's actually something that's pretty charming to me personally. Apart from that, the set actually has some pretty nice lava accents on it. You can see on some of these beams here. Stretching out, you can see more lava kind of everywhere on this set, even lava underneath this little bit here on what I would consider to be the land. Even here, maybe you kind of recreate the high ground. You have this very large rock piece that's kind of lava-ized. I don't know, very interesting design aspects in that way. This is very brick built compared to this one, which uses more bricks still, but actually uses a lot more plates than bricks. Like, this one just uses a lot of bricks. This one also does have like a very symmetrical design compared to this one, which is a lot more all over the place. I think that's very obvious, and I do prefer symmetrical, but I think in this case you could go either way. The one problem I have with this design is it does feel like things fall apart a little bit easier than the newer one. Now, not to say that these lava pieces don't fall off all the time, because they do, and I do accidentally set this off probably more than I drop those, but these fall off an annoying amount, and these like vertical beams fall at like very little movement. So it can get kind of annoying with both sets that they're a little bit broken. Now, I think the biggest place of design where this set is broken is these things. These things really ruin this set for me. They do not work as they seem to be intended to work. Like, if I spin this, it's supposed to spin that, but that just doesn't always seem to be the case for whatever reason. Things just seem to go haywire with it all the time, and it never seems to work in a way that is satisfactory to me. On the other hand of design here, we have something that has a coherent color scheme as well. Like, they both have coherent color schemes. I think that's unfair to say one is more coherent than the other. They all kind of fall within their own color palette. But it definitely seems to be a lot more all over the place, hectic, random, maybe the word for it. I do like some of the pieces they use on this set a little bit better, but it is substantially smaller. Like, that's something that some people might not like about the newer set. I definitely have heard some complaints about its size. size, but it's more of like a desktop type little play set, and I think that's fair to look at a set through that lens versus this, which is more of a tabletop type play set. So you kind of get two different styles in that way, but a little bit of flowing lava, kind of reminiscent of what you have over here with possibly some flowing lava, so it can kind of go either way. Another nice part about the design of the newer one, though, is that you can kind of have two orientations. You have the closed up orientation, there we go, just firing off studs anywhere, and you can kind of have this opened up orientation. You can still have them clash back and forth like so. So to me, it's kind of a toss-up in the design category. I mean, there are definitely people that are going to love this older, larger one with kind of some wonky design elements, and there's people that are going to like this more random one from 2020. I just can't really pick which one I think is really better. I think you definitely can make good arguments for both sides. As far as value goes, for the 2020 version, you're looking at $20, and the retail price of this version from 2005 was $30, but adjusted for inflation, you're looking at $40. So basically, is this worth twice the price as this? Obviously, if you buy this on eBay, it could be more expensive if you want it sealed, used, depending on the condition. So we're not going to get into that. That's obviously going to be very, very different depending on where you buy it. We're just looking at the base retail price from when LEGO released it, adjusted for inflation, which is $40 versus $20. And to me, I think it's another toss-up. I think you can definitely make an argument that with the updated and upgraded minifigs, how much nicer the printing is and how much more accurate they are, maybe that's enough to justify a slightly smaller playset, but still a more detailed playset. There's definitely some aspects of the newer Duel on Mustafar set that definitely are more accurate and can provide better play features versus this older, clunkier model, which has a different design philosophy, but still very interesting and very reminiscent of the scene, but you have less accurate minifigures with much more dull printing and dull facial expressions. But I will say those light up lightsabers back in the day were very cool, so that might be something that adds value to you for this older set. So I can see it definitely being a wash for some people. This, much like the design category, I do not think I can pick a clear winner for. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I said that in my Mandalorian Battle Pack comparison, and I think it holds true here as well. These sets are just very, very different, even though they are of the same scene. The value is just not something that I think is easy enough to determine. I know you're getting much larger pieces here, right? You get a much larger thing, right? It feels like you're getting more, but you're still getting a much more well thought out playset, in my opinion, in the newer one. I think the newer one just presents itself a little bit better. It's more well built. It has better figures versus the old one. So that's the way I'm looking at it, and I'm going to call the value a draw. And the 2020 version is up 4-2, heading into our final category, the M&R opinion, and that is something that I think a lot of people are wondering. And my opinion, the better set to me, and this is obviously going to be very nostalgia filled, is the 2005 version. As much as I hate how finicky and weird some of it is, it's all part of the charm, right? Like it's just something about it, right? That's just so beautiful. The box art of this set was absolutely gorgeous. Something that I love reminiscing about is that 2005 LEGO Star Wars box art. The light up minifigs are amazing. Now they're not particularly better than the newer minifigs. Like I can see that objectively, the newer ones they look better. They're more accurate. They also still have a lot of the same features, right? You have what is basically the same thing, right? You have handles on platforms so you can have them fight, and while this one doesn't work as well, it's still fundamentally the same. Then you have lava that you can drop and spray on people, and over here you have lava you can flick out and spray on people. So it's still kind of the same feature set wise as this older one. You also have these which can fall, and you have this which can fall. Like it's all kind of the same. It's just going to come down to personal preference on which version look you like better. And to me, it's going to be 2005. I have a lot of nostalgia for this particular model. If you guys want, you can definitely vote on the poll on screen as to which model you think is better, 2005 or 2020. I'm sure you guys will have some good arguments down in the comments section below, because these are two very polarizing sets. They're very, very different, and I can definitely understand why people would want to pick one over the other. To me, the 2005 version is my personal favorite, although numbers-wise, the 2020 version has won our little competition here. So LEGO has definitely made some improvements with the new set compared to the old set, but I can also still see a lot of people just nostalgically liking the older set better, even though the new one may be objectively or factually better, at least according to my little test here. So definitely not going to go wrong with either set. I think either way you'll be pleased, either with some nostalgia nostalgia or just having the latest and greatest. Make sure you guys leave a like if you guys did enjoy this video. If you want to check out more LEGO Star Wars comparison videos, you can definitely do so on my channel. And if you don't want to miss any in the future, definitely hit that subscribe button. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.